Let's imagine that I showed you this Jungle Scout score of an 8 out of 10 and I asked you the question, is this going to be a product in demand? Would you go ahead and immediately say, yes, the Jungle Scout score says 8 out of 10, that is a product that I want to be selling? Or would you say, wait a minute, there's probably a little bit of more data that I want to take a look at? Because guess what? This product is actually a terrible product to begin selling. And today I'm going to share with you my number one indicator to identify a product that is going to be in demand in the future when you are going to be selling it. Okay guys, so first thing, let's take a look at the Chrome extension and that snip that I showed you guys in the introduction of this video. So at first, if you're a beginner seller especially, you're going to take a look immediately at that opportunity score and you're going to judge it based on that. So you're going to take a look at that and you're going to see the 8 out of 10, high demand with low competition, and you may immediately just jump on this product without really looking at any other data or my number one indicator that predicts demand for a product. So if you were to do this and you did not really pay particular attention to the product niche and fully understand what it meant, then you may be in some trouble, and here's why. So taking a look at this, that niche that I was showing you guys was for dog Easter toys. Now, the date of this video is probably a week after I made it, but today's date is April 15th. And as you know, Easter was over a week ago. So if you're someone trying to put your product in the market right now for dog Easter toys based on this opportunity score, you're going to end up failing and you're not really going to be able to sell any of those products unless you wait until the following year, because this is a seasonal product, a product that is going to be in demand in a short period of time because it's based on the holiday, right? Now, the main message I want to get across to you before we get into my number one indicator is that although Jungle Scout provides this very convenient score, the opportunity score, it is not great at predicting a future product in demand. What I mean by that is Jungle Scout analyzes past historical data in order to come up with a score, and also based on current trends that they're seeing. They are not looking into the future based on the historical data and predicting that it will be a product that's going to be in demand for some time. So it's very important to note, because whenever you put in an order overseas with a supplier, more than likely you're not going to be able to get that product until 20 to 30 days. And that's if you ship directly from your supplier to Amazon's fulfillment centers. So it's very important to look for the future products that are going to be in demand versus the products that are currently in demand based on the opportunity score, based on the data that you're seeing on Jungle Scout. Okay, so knowing this about the Jungle Scout opportunity score and understanding that we need to be looking for products that are going to be in demand in the future, not just in the present, my number one indicator that I use for my own personal business are the search trends. And what I mean by the search trends are the search volume trends of people actually searching for that product niche on Amazon. In particular, Jungle Scout does provide you a 30-day and 90-day search trend, which I find to be the most useful. But in addition to this, you can use Google Trends, which will give you a much more in-depth analysis of that trend over time. So let's look at a couple of examples, and I can explain in further detail why this is my number one indicator, giving me that 90% success rate for a profitable product in demand. So the first example are these men's running shoe. And so that's a product niche, and as you can see, the 30-day and 90-day search trend are extremely high. So for the 30-day search trend, we're looking at 2,929%, and that is the past 30 days. So it is a lagging trend, but it does give you an idea of the past 30 days versus the 30 days before that. How much volume increase are you seeing? In addition, you also have the 90-day search trend, very similar to the 30-day search trend. However, it's looking at a different period of time, the previous 3 months. And as you can see, 1,304%, again, very high. So these two indicators, just by taking a look at them, I can quickly see and understand that there is going to be demand for this product going forward, as well as in the moment during that month. And that's because these numbers are inflated so high. So the next thing that I would take a look at is the historical search volume trend. And this is the actual chart that you're seeing on Jungle Scout right here. So what I like to do is use the 2-year chart or the 1-year chart to gain an understanding what the trend has looked like in the past. So as you can see, in 2019, there wasn't really any demand for this product. In 2020, the demand spiked up a little bit. As you can see, from about April up until the end of July, we saw some interest in this product. Now, what really piques my interest for 2021 is that we saw this huge spike in demand, a historical high in the past 2 years for men's running shoes. And as you can see, it did peak in March, and it's slowly decreasing up until this point in time. However, this gives you an idea that over the next couple months, there's a good chance that this will stay in demand given the strength of the volume trends that we're seeing here. Now, in addition to this, we could take a look at some other examples. For example, here's one called the self-propelled gas lawn mower niche. And what I want you guys to learn here is the difference between the 30-day and 90-day trends. So as you can see here, there's a slight difference, right? So for the 30-day trend, we see a very elevated amount of 942%. However, for the 90-day search trend, it's only 34%. So looking at these two search trends, the 30-day and 90-day, this is an indicator to me that this is a product that is starting to peak in demand. It's not a product that has already reached its peak demand because that 90-day search trend is relatively low in comparison to that 30-day search trend. And as you can see on the chart here, this also correlates to exactly what we're seeing in those percentages. So you can see that the demand is starting to increase. This is data up until the end of March, and it has a steady increase in search volume demand. If we look at the last 2 years, back in 2019, at the end of March, we started to see that increase and we saw a peak around the middle of April. Looking at 2020, a very similar story. We saw the peak at the end of April, early May. So this tells me that now would be a great time to start getting this product into Amazon FBA and to begin selling it, because come May, it's going to be in demand. It's going to be at its peak demand. And then from the recent years, we can see that the demand will slowly decrease. However, there is still good search volume trend up until September, which is really the start of fall, which makes sense. So this is a way to get ahead of the curve and to understand what products are going to be in demand in the future by looking for a small 90-day search trend and a very high elevated 30-day search trend. So you can get in the market before others, and that way you can see the peak amount of sales for that given period of time. Okay, and another example here are beach towels clearance. And again, a similar story where we have a very high 30-day search trend and a relatively low 90-day search trend. So this tells me again that demand is starting to pick up. Now would be a great time to enter the market. That way you can see that peak demand. Now, one thing you might be asking is, these are seasonal products, the majority of them are, and that is correct. For more stable products, you're going to see a stable 30-day and a stable 90-day search trend. But this gives you a good indicator of those peak demand products, which are in particular seasonal products, which is another reason why I do love the search trend, because it gives you an indicator of a seasonal product. As you can see here for beach towels clearance, just without even looking at any data, you already know that beach towels are a seasonal item and they're relatively just used in the late spring, throughout the summer, and maybe the early fall. However, if you just go off of what Jungle Scout's telling you here, Jungle Scout is saying that the seasonality for this product niche is very low. However, you and I know that's not the case, right? So this is a great way to understand seasonal products rather than just relying on software like Jungle Scout or Helium 10. And how you're able to indicate this are the huge spikes in a relatively short amount of time. And when I say short amount of time, I'm saying within a month time frame. That could extend to maybe a couple months, but when I see something spike within the 1 month time frame and then go back down in interest, it's a fad type product, it's a seasonal product. So as you can see here, in April up until the beginning of June, so a little over a month, we saw that increase for interest in this product niche, and then it just started to tail off, as we can see here. I'd expect a very similar trend this year. Late April to early May, we'd begin to see that rise in demand, and then it would quickly taper off, which is not really what you want to be looking for in a product. To further explain this, let's take a look at the St. Patrick's Day shirts. As of right now, today is April 15th. It's way past St. Patrick's Day, which was in March. And Jungle Scout does correctly tell you here that this seasonality is very high. However, if you were just going off the 30-day and the 90-day search trend and you'd see these numbers, you'd be like, that is a great product niche, unless you knew what St. Patrick's Day was. So taking a look here, again, you see this huge spike between January to March, and then it quickly tapers off, and then there's barely any search volume throughout the other months for the rest of the year. And as you guessed it, this is a seasonal item, and this is an item that we want to start preparing for at least a quarter ahead. So in the winter months, not necessarily if we see that search volume trend increase, we go ahead and we try to enter the market, because at that point, it's already going to be too late. All right, guys, one last example here, and you don't want to miss this one, because this is another example where the seasonality, what Jungle Scout's telling you, is actually a misconception. So looking at pre-made Easter baskets, also another major holiday that was a couple weeks ago as of this point. Jungle Scout has these crazy statistics on the search trend volume, which I'd imagine are relatively accurate, over 12,000% for the 90-day search trend volume. And that is a key indicator that it's going to be a seasonal fad type product. Looking at the seasonality, Jungle Scout is saying this has very low seasonality. However, if you look at the search volume, you look at the trends, you see a different story. So looking down here at the beginning of March, we begin to see that dramatic increase, and then it quickly tapers off when that holiday actually occurs. Similar situation here. The data is going to tell you that's going to be a great product. Jungle Scout's going to tell you that it has very low seasonality, but by looking at the search volume trend, looking at the chart, you can quickly tell based on historical data that this is a product that you don't want to begin selling at this moment in time. All right, guys, I really appreciate you watching. I hope this gives you some more insight as to what I'm thinking about when I'm looking for a profitable product in demand. Now, the search trend, it's a great indicator for a product that's going to be in demand or that is currently in demand. However, it isn't a great indicator to explain the competition and what that looks like. So make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for that video on my #1 indicator for competition. That way you're able to analyze a product that is in high demand using search trends, and then my next indicator to determine what that competition is going to look like for that product.